Concerns have been raised about the number of teenage mothers in Limpopo. 217 babies were born on Christmas Day, 33 of which were teen mothers, compared to 29 last year. Joining us to discuss this further is Limpopo Health MEC, Dr. Phophi Ramathuba. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, for the first time, you welcome the arrival of more boys than girls across the province on Christmas Day. I know that you've been very active on the ground, visiting some of the hospitals and maternity wards. What have you found as you've gone to assess what's happened since Christmas?
Good afternoon and afternoon to all your viewers, and thank you for inviting us. Firstly, the good news is indeed we have been able to deliver 217 babies, of which all the mothers and the babies are well, they're doing well. So that is something that we really need to appreciate. And I've been saying to our midwives that I wish every delivery was a Christmas delivery, because we are not recording any maternal or perinatal poor outcome. So that is something worth celebrated. But however, yes, as one has been visiting the facilities, it becomes very depressing that once more you come across in a maternity, in a labor ward, a 15-year-old that is just given birth. And that tells you that she probably fell pregnant while she was 14. And now you don't even know and understand when did she started to be sexually active. So those are some of the very depressing moments. Some of these teenagers had to undergo cesarean sections, and some has had very difficult deliveries. So this is said that as a society, as a nation, if we don't look after our girl child, we don't necessarily deserve the future. So that is why we have been able to, especially in this incident where you have a 15-year-old, activate our social workers and had to really follow the law, because this is purely statutory rape, and we need to find out who is the perpetrator. If it's someone who is above age, the police needs to arrest, and we will follow up that case. We've left the case with the police for further investigations, and we are allowing and giving them an opportunity to do the work. But also at the same time, if they are underage, you will know that basic education also has got its own policies, which we really appreciate as government and as a health department, because we are working them in order to really fight and cap this. But lastly, one of the experience that one gets, especially when you are having one-on-one with these teenage mothers, trying to counsel and trying to find out from them so that we don't just make our own conclusion. It is quite disheartening that some of them, their mothers, we the mothers are responsible. Because if a girl child is telling me that, my sister had a child at my age, equally there were 3 girls at home. 2 of my elder sister had their children, and now at home some of them already have got 2, and I'm the one without a child. And on a daily basis, my mother is always asking me that, when am I bringing income, because I'm just here as a consumer at home. And you see, that language pushes the girl child, put the girl child under pressure, because it's the mother who is encouraging some of these things to say, go and have a child so that you can come up with a child support grant. So that is why I'm saying the situation is much more bigger than government on its own, than a health department or education or social development. You require the entire society to say, how do we then begin to make the mother to understand and appreciate that, support your girl child to go to school, let them graduate, let them work. They won't even give you a grant, but they can even build you a house or buy you a car. So if we were able to win on that, we will be able to move forward as a society.
So I know that at the beginning of the year, in January to be exact, I mean, you speak about language, you know, being sensitive to the kind of language that is being used. You were criticized yourself, Doctor, on social media after a video of you went viral as you advised schoolgirls to open their books and close their legs. Looking at the numbers and the crisis point that we've reached, your advice has not been effective. Do you think that, you know, language itself is very, very important when speaking to the girl child, going beyond, you know, closing your legs and opening your books?
I think I will differ with you because there is one school in College Chavani called Mukwatedi, where I adopted the school because it had 38 learners being pregnant in 2018, 2019. When we went back this year to check, using sometimes strong language, and which is the language that some of these teenage girls do understand, we have recorded 0 teenage pregnancy. We need to appreciate the background that our learners are coming from. When you are talking to a 15-year-old, you can't use the language like when you are telling a 17 and an 18-year-old. And it will differ. A 15-year-old like we were dealing with this weekend, it's statutory rape. And we need to find the perpetrator and deal with the perpetrator. But there are 18 and 17-year-olds who feel that because their friends have got children, they must also have kids. That is not statutory rape. These are kids, children who choose to have babies because society is classifying them that you're not a woman enough if you don't have a child at the age of 18. We're talking about some of these girls who comes from the rural areas, most of them, without even parental support, like me and you will do to our children, who will have reproductive and sexual health talk with them. So how we approach this, it's completely different. And I wish people can appreciate that. So for me, we have not done enough in order to deal with this matter. And unfortunately, at times, we like to sugarcoat things as a society. Hence, I'm saying all of us have got a role to play. The girl child is the one that is a victim here that requires to be empowered. The boy child equally needs to understand that there is consequences when you unzip your pants. But currently, the situation favors the boy child because it's the girl child who will go for 9 months, being humiliated at school, sometimes going to school, being pregnant, called names, sometimes drop out from education. During delivery, they're the ones who complicate. They're the ones sometimes who develop postpartum psychosis, throw the baby in the pit toilet, called names to say you are a witch and all those, whereas it's just a mental condition as a result of postnatal depression caused by teenage pregnancy and failure to cope with the child and also difficult labor. So hence I'm saying it can never be one size fits all. If you ask yourself a question, you're not going to talk about the top schools that are there in the cities, the private schools. Teenage pregnancy to them is a taboo because it's a class matter. It depends where you're coming from. Children in the privileged environment, they've got parents, they've got teachers who talk to them, who give them proper education and guidance. They've got access to contraceptives. They have access to information. But children in the rural areas, they do not have that access. So that is why you see us dealing with teenage pregnancy more in public hospitals, especially in the rural hospitals like Malamulele Hospital, than you will do in a net care or Mediclinic facility.
MEC, with the very little access to information, education and the resources, what is your department doing in ensuring that the message becomes clearer and that the educators continue to spread the message and allow the young teenagers to make more informed decisions? Because, I mean, you know, you speak about statutory rape. It's become a norm for young girls, even as young as 11 and 12, to give birth, which is something that should not be normalized. What do you think needs to happen from your end as a department to continue to spread the message? Because even when you were criticized for saying open books and not legs, you said that some of the people there appreciated your message because you were very upfront and direct. Calling a spade, a message that they were too afraid to express, which is also concerning, that adults are also unable to have these conversations with their teenage girls and boys.
You're quite right. We are trying as departments. For instance, in our province, teenage pregnancy is led by social development, supported by health and also basic education and sports, arts and culture. So these three departments have got programs that we go around schools and talking and putting that message up front. But the bottom line, which we are saying here, is, you see, when the message is coming from government, we know that society does not trust government. Politicians are the last people to be trusted by the communities when they speak. Hence, we say we need every single sector, whether it's your religious sector, which we are also conscious when we talk about them, because there are also some of the, I will call them fake pastors and reverends, who have been found wanting when it comes to the issues of sexual assault and also sleeping with girls in church in the name of praying for them to receive miracles. So we become very skeptical when we deal with some of these sectors. But however, in the majority, we need to get our men of the cloth and women of the cloth to assist us in fighting this. We have got a partnership with NGOs, our NPOs. For instance, in the schools that I adopted, I've just given you, we work with an organization from Twando called Munandini, where their main focus was on the boy child, because you can't leave the boy child behind. And we think working there with Love Life, with all these institutions that I've spoken about, we've been able to register positive results in that particular school. And I think it's just that each and every community, our traditional leaders, they must provide leadership in their villages, that each and every school, this education must be done. You see, when we go back to how our ancestors and even in the past, how as Africans were able to win on this, you will understand that we had our own traditional schools. The Venda girls, you must first go through the Domba and your Musebetu before you could get involved in sexual activity, where reproductive health will be taught in those mountain schools. The boy child will also go into the traditional male circumcision, which is not only about the surgical procedure, but it's also about teaching a boy child how to become a man and how to become responsible. So most of us in our townships, even in our villages, have thrown away that culture. Therefore, there's no longer a place for education in terms of our communities, cultural-wise. Then people are leaving it just only to government to deal with, because parents on their own, it's very difficult for parents to sit with their children, like you have rightfully said, to talk this frankly and openly. We just get surprised when your child is pregnant and you have never, even a single day, discussed with your child to say, if you are a girl, at this age, you will start to see menstrual period. What is menstruation? What you leave it to the teachers at school only. So it is important that let's start first thing first. Every single parent must start discussing this topic, painful as it is, embarrassing as it is, with their own children, both the boy and the girl child. And then, as government, maybe we will be left with those children, because we must also live to the reality that some of these girl children who are pregnant are orphans. Some of them don't have mothers, they don't have parents. Some of them are children of migrant laborers. Their mothers are domestic workers outside there in Gauteng, and they are running child-reared family. So that is why they are subject to abuse by all these males who knows that there is no parental guidance in that household. And unlike in the past where it took a village to raise a child, this time around, everyone for themselves. So these are the reality that we must deal with as we will be working together with society. We are not shifting responsibility as government to other stakeholders, but we're just saying this is not a problem that it can be dealt with by government alone. We need each and every one of our citizens to help us fight teenage pregnancy.
Yeah, we know that Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga has now implemented a policy that requires schools to report underage pregnancies to the police. How much of a difference do you think that will make, this tightening of the law, when it comes to curbing these numbers, especially, you know, the horrors of knowing that there are babies born to mothers between the ages of 11 and 12? That in itself, that age group is on the rise.
If it is to be implemented, I can tell you it was going to work. Unfortunately, we're not implementing it. And let me give the case of that I was dealing with yesterday of this 15-year-old. I mean, she has been going to school. The teachers were seeing her. No one reported the case. When we called the parents to want to know, they've been hiding who the person responsible until the child was able to talk. With our social worker and also having to involve the police. So I think I'm one of those people who welcome this and celebrated that initiative by Basic Education to say, look, teachers will also assist us so that we curb this while it's still at the early stage of pregnancy. Because some of these children, you don't even know that they are pregnant until the time when they come to give birth. And that's where you see a lot of complicated deliveries, because they would be afraid to talk at home and like those that stays without even parents at home. So if our teachers could come on board and we work together on this matter, because what is important for us as health is that once she's pregnant, and we have to take care of her health, and we have to take care of the health of the unborn child. And once the baby is born, it's a very difficult task, because if you look at the children with malnutrition in our wards, majority of them are born out of teenage mothers, despite all these grants that social development and government is providing to them, because the mother is also a child who still need to be looked after. That is why it's very difficult for that mother to look after another child, because these are two children who still need to be looked after. So working in that with all these departments and with all the sectors, I'm quite confident that we will be. And also, if we can see our justice system, at least for once, let's have somebody being successfully prosecuted, and we see someone being sentenced for statutory rape because a girl child was pregnant, and we picked it up when the child was already pregnant, and we get the perpetrator being arrested and being sentenced. I'm telling you, this thing will stop, because unfortunately, there is no consequence on the male child, or on the males who are responsible for this. The pain, as I've indicated, it's felt by the girl child.
Yeah, perhaps, MEC, let's veer off the subject a little bit. I just want to get a sense of understanding from your end, if you've heard anything about news being reported of a gas tanker accident claiming 6 people's lives. Do you know anything about that? In Limpopo.
What I know is that there has been an accident, of course, on N1 as you pass the toll gate to the tunnel as you are going to Messina, involving a bakkie and a truck, where indeed we lost 6 people, including children, among the deceased, and may their soul rest in peace. So we do know it was not necessary, if I'm to be correct, the report that I got from our team, it was not about the exploding. It was the road accident. You know that road, it's very busy during this period. So we will update, and I'm sure the department of transport and community safety has already indicated that. So this was a collision, if I remember well, of a buggy and a truck. I will verify on the issue of the gas, but it was indicated that it's a chemical hazard, and that the road was closed when I got the report in the morning, and everybody was responsible in terms of addressing the situation, whether it's traffic, whether it's EMS, whether it's police, they were on the scene. We lost 6 patients. 3 of them are children, 2 of them are female, and 1 is male.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much. Perhaps let's leave it there for now. Dr. Phophi Ramathuba, Limpopo Health MEC, speaking about teenage pregnancy and, of course, the latest of a tragedy that's unfolded. 6 people losing their lives in Limpopo. Of course.